Alright, so today in this video, I'm going to try to replicate the core functionality of a SaaS product that is already doing multiple thousands of MRR. So basically, I'm going to use Cloud AI to kind of write code for our SaaS application, and it will include everything like authentication, API routes and proxy and a whole bunch of other stuff, and every bit of codes that we use in this project that will be generated entirely using Cloud AI. So without wasting further ado, let's jump straight in. All right, so this right here is whatsmyserp.com, and it is like a tool that lets you track your Google rankings. And this right here is scranking.com, and they also have a SERP tracker. And basically we are going to build a search engine rank tracker tool. Basically we can enter the domain name and the keyword, and the tool that we're about to develop will go ahead and see where our website is ranking. So if you have been doing blogging or if you are into SEO, you know how important it is to keep track of your rankings on Google for different keywords, right? So we are going to create a SaaS product that can actually do the same stuff. And yeah, let's use AI to build the same. So we are basically creating, you could say, like a clone of whatsmyserp.com or scranking.com. And this is kind of like what we're trying to achieve. So we can go ahead and enter a keyword that we need to track, also enter the domain name, and upon clicking the check rank button, our SaaS product will go ahead and search for it on Google, find the ranking position and report it just like this. Another thing is that the user will be given the option to enter as much as keyword as they want and track the same on Google. And if let's say the user enters 20 keywords and click on the check button, the ranking details for all these 20 keyword has to be listed, right? Now when our server makes repeated attempts and requests to Google servers, there are high probability that Google might straight away block our server IP address, and we won't be like no longer able to access or search google.com. And for the same reason, we'll be also using a proxy so that we can mask our real IP address. And specifically, we are going to use a rotating proxy. That means every time the API runs, it's going to use a different IP address. So that way we can protect the identity of our original server and also make as much as requests that we want and track unlimited keywords. So let's start, shall we? As we will need a proxy for this project, the first thing that you got to do is to visit tulip.io and get a proxy from here. This project will work even without a proxy for that matter, but after let's say checking 5 or 6 keywords continuously, there are high probability that Google will block your IP address and you will have to wait for some time, or even if you make repeated attempts over and over again, there are high probability that they will just blacklist your IP address. So tulip.io is like a provider that gives premium proxies for pocket friendly prices. So just sign up for a new account and go to your dashboard, and you can go ahead and purchase a proxy from here. And if this is your first time, you will find a buy now proxy or add proxy kind of a button. So simply click on this one and you can find shared data center proxies, dedicated data center proxies, static residential proxies, or rotating residential proxies as well. And you can purchase it for weekly, monthly or quarterly terms. So depending on your use case, you can purchase whatever proxy that you need. And for this one, we are making repeated attempts to search for keyword on Google and scrape data, right? For that purpose, I'm going to use this rotating residential proxies. So basically what this means is every time you fire up a new request, it will be from a new IP address, okay? So that way you can be absolutely sure that Google is not going to block your proxy and your services won't fail. So simply click on the buy now button and add it to your account. And here I already have configured a rotating residential proxy, and this is what I'm going to use today in this video. Alright, so the first step is creating the master prompt or the initial prompt that we will give to the AI tool to generate the code. And from here onwards to here I'm explaining the exact functionality I want and what kind of a product I want to develop. So this, if you want to, you can just pause and read it. And now I have given that I want to develop an Google Rank Tracker SaaS using AI, and the below given is the prompt that I want to give to the AI tool to develop the project. Write it in a defined and clear manner. So I have my main prompt here, and I also have these 3 lines above here, okay? And now I'll go ahead and copy the entire thing and just open ChatGPT and paste it, okay? And I'll send it, and let's wait for a few seconds. Alright, so ChatGPT has given us a detailed version of the prompt. So we basically explained what exactly we need to develop, and ChatGPT has given us a refined prompt with all the description, features and all other features that we want. And now you can copy this particular prompt that is given by ChatGPT, which is like a more refined one and also is a little bit more elaborative than the one that we passed over here. And you can simply go ahead and copy this one. So this is the master prompt, you could say. And next up, I'll go ahead and open Cloud AI. I'll open Claude and go ahead and paste the thing that we copied from ChatGPT, and to the top I'll maybe give something like create a Google search rank tracker website. So that's the prompt that I'll give, the main prompt, and I'll go ahead and hit enter, and let's wait. Alright, so Claude has given us the code, and we asked it to create the project in Next.js with app router TypeScript, and for styling use Tailwind CSS, and that's exactly what Claude has given us. And if you click on this one, Claude has given us the code for the main component. So the first thing that you got to do is to create I'll just go ahead and create a new folder and open it up in Visual Studio Code. And now we know, and now we got to create a new Next.js project. Alright, so for that I'll just go ahead and give it a prompt like npx create next app @ and for this one I'm particularly going to ask it to install the 14.2.14 version, and I'll put / to install Next.js to the current working directory, and I'll hit enter and click on Y, yes, TypeScript yes, ESLint yes, Tailwind yes, src no, app router yes, and no. Alright, so now Next.js is successfully installed, and if you don't know how to install Next.js, simply go to this page right here, or simply search for Next.js installation docs on Google and simply run this command, and you should be able to install Next.js. Now back to Claude, and we gotta copy this particular code right here. So I'll go ahead and copy this content from this code, and next I'll go ahead and open the page.tsx file and delete everything from here and paste the new command. And as you can see, we have a lot of missing dependencies. So all of these are like ShadCN UI components that we need to install. For that, I'll go ahead and open ShadCN UI docs. I'll go to documentations, then let's say, what's it, installations, Next.js, and you simply got to copy this command and come back in here and first install ShadCN New York. Yeah, just select the defaults and hit enter, and we have now successfully installed ShadCN. And now you got to install dialog, button, input, and table. For that, let me see. Okay, let's say input, and this is the prompt to add the input component. So I can copy that and paste it in here. And after input, I could also put a space, and let's say I need to install a button, so I can give button, then dialog. So I can say dialog. Then we have table, so I'll also give table and hit enter, and it will now go ahead and install all the dependencies like the packages for dialog, button, input, and table, and that's done. So and as you can see, all the import errors are now gone. Alright, so we actually have a problem right here, because Claude has only given us the code for the front end part, and as for the API, they're actually simulating API call right here, but we actually want Claude to sort of write the API as well. So I'll simply go ahead and let's say code the API. I'll hit enter. Alright, so Claude has given us a code for the API route, and for that we'll have to create a new folder called API, then check rank, and inside of that root.ts inside of the app folder. So I'll just go ahead and copy this one from here, and I'll open VS Code and create a new folder API, and inside of that another folder called check rank, and inside that new file called root.ts, and let's just go ahead and copy the entire content and paste it in here. Okay, and now we need to install a package called Sherio. So we are using Sherio for HTML parsing. So as you can see, to install it, simply run npm I and Sherio and hit enter. And now Sherio is installed, and if you save, the import error should be gone. And next we got to update the front end component to use the API. So let me just open that file, and here we have the updated code, and let's just copy the entire thing. And we need to update the handle check ranks, update keywords, and yeah, these two functions we need to update. So I'll open this one, the main page.tsx file. Let me file that. Okay, we have handle check ranks here, and I'll just delete everything till here and paste the new code, and that should be it, right? Alright, and now just as to make sure everything works, I'll go ahead and run npm run dev to start the development server. So we have it, localhost 3000. I'll just press command and press on this link, and it should open up in a new tab. All right, so this is the UI right here. So we have an option to enter the domain name. We have an option to add keyword. As for the domain, let's say netflix.com. I'm pretty sure for Netflix keyword, netflix.com is going to rank number 1, right? Add keyword and let's say Netflix, add keyword, and let's click on check ranks. And yes, as expected, number 1. So obviously if you go ahead and search for Netflix, I'm pretty sure netflix.com is the first one to rank. Next, let's implement the proxy functionality. Now, if you go ahead and add, let's say 10 keywords right here and add a domain and click on the checks ranks option, it after about 3 or 4 keyword checks, the Google system will block our IP address and the application won't work as expected. And that is the reason why we need to use a proxy to make this whole thing working. And I just went ahead, and if you look at Claude, it also at the end of the last response, it also asked us, would you like me to, and as the second option, it said implement proxy rotation. Okay. So the thing I did is I gave it a message, something like implement proxy in the API using the below given details. And I went ahead and copied, let's say, okay, I clicked on this rotating residential proxy. So this is the one that I'm using, because every time a new request is fired, a new IP address will be used. And that way, our server IP address won't be blocked. And even if you use one proxy and you use it repeatedly, there are probability that Google might block that as well. So that's the reason why I'm using rotating residential proxies. I'll click on Node.js and copy this part right here. Okay, so everything from const proxy is equal to, and this part right here, I went back to Claude and I just pasted it, and it I just sent this message. Okay, and as you can see, this is the updated code that Claude has given us. And if you look at it here, we can see something called proxy configuration, and the application or the API route is now actually using proxy. And before that, we also need to install Cheerio and Axios. So let me just first copy this code from here. So first I opened it and gave the prompt npm install Axios and Cheerio, as you can see in here, and I have installed both these packages. And now I went ahead and pasted the root.ts file, like the content that we copied from there, in here like this. And now we have the updated code right here. Okay, and as you can see, we have proxy configuration right here. And again, in this updated code, if you look at the key changes made, you can also see something called as added proxy IP reporting and responses. So this way we can see the actual IP address used for every API request. So I just asked it to add that, and we have it here, the test the proxy on health check. So every time you fire up a request from this API, it will also console log the IP address of the proxy. So that's also one feature that I added to this project. Now, just as to make sure everything is working, and more importantly, the proxy is working, I'll just go ahead and let's say facebook.com in here and add keyword, let's say FB. I'm pretty sure for the keyword FB, facebook.com is going to rank first. I'll click on the check ranks option. And this time, after the checking process is done, you should be able to see the IP address of the proxy in the console, like in VS Code, as expected, number 1. Let's just make sure FB, and there have it. Obviously, Facebook is going to rank for this one. And now if you open VS Code, you should be able to see the IP address right here. So after sending the response, it says proxy is working, and we can see the IP address right here. The keyword is FB, Google response status 200, all URLs, and you can see the domain name. Okay, and the position in which it ranks is number 1, obviously, so number 1 here as well. Now, just as to make sure the application actually works, I just search for this random keyword right here, PS5 controller input lag, and I'll go ahead and enter that keyword right here. And as you can see, we have a website called PlayStationLifestyle.net. So this is a page that is ranking in number 4th, I guess. So I'll just go ahead and copy that link, paste it in here, .net, and let's see, check rank. So it says current rank number 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, I'm actually searching it from India. So depending on the location, the IP address is actually from US, I guess. So there'll be like a slight variations from the actual place where this API is fired. So yeah, that's it. We have number 3, and everything else is working just fine as it should. Now let's try to add like a keyword, let's say random keyword. I'm pretty sure for this particular keyword right here, this website is definitely not going to rank. So I'm going to click on check ranks and let's see. As expected, not found. Great. Alright, so the core functionality of the app is now working. And let's say if you want to add a sidebar to the project, you can simply go ahead and ask it to create a sidebar and copy the updated code. And you can simply go ahead and add a sidebar, maybe a navigation bar, maybe add a cool new other features, right? So you can go ahead and incrementally add new features by giving simple prompt to Claude AI or whatever AI tool that you're using. So next, let's just try to add authentication to our app. And for that, I'm going to use clerk.com. So first thing that you got to do is to go to clerk.com and sign up for a new account. And once you log into your account, simply click on this create application button and you'll be shown this page for, let's say, name, rank, tracker, and let's put email and Google for now. Click on create application. And since we are using Next.js, I'll click on this Next.js. And the first thing that you got to do is to run this npm install command. So I'll copy this one, open VS Code, and let's install the Clerk/Next.js package. All right, that's done. Next up, we need to set the environment variables. For that, we need to create a .env.local file. First, I'll copy this one from here and head back here and create a new file called .env.local and paste my secret key and publishable key. Next up, I need to create a middleware.ts file, the root of my directory. I'll copy the code. I'll open VS Code again and create a new file called middleware.ts and paste this one right here. And next, I gotta add Clerk provider and wrap all the childrens around it. So I can simply go ahead and copy this one from here and update the code in the layout.tsx file right here. I can simply get rid of everything and paste it right here. And we are actually rendering the children from the page.tsx file. So everything should be okay. And that's it. We can run the project and everything should be done is what they say. Let's see. We can just, okay. All right. So let's go back to the application and refresh. And you can see a sign in option here. You can actually stylize it, but for now, let me just click on the sign in option. And boom, there we have it, sign into rank tracker. So I can simply say continue with Google. Let me click a random email, continue. Okay. And boom, we are authenticated. And we also can see this right here. This is like a place where you can actually manage your account settings and stuff like that. You can see your name, email addresses, manage account, and everything else. Pretty cool. Great. Now you can go ahead and further customize it. For example, this one right here looks awkward, right? So I can simply delete everything from here, like the sign up component and everything. And I'll head back to my page.tsx file and I'll paste right here and make sure to import everything from Clerk Next.js. And if I save it, I can see the user button over at here. All right. So if I want, I can actually add a navigation bar to the top and then include this one right over to right side and everything else. And you can do all that by giving customized prompt and copying the updated code. And let me try to sign out, and boom, we have a sign in button. Clicking on the sign in button will take me to the login page and I can just go ahead and continue to log into my application. Now to see the list of all users that are signed into our platform, you can simply open your Clerk dashboard and you can select the app. And if you scroll down, you should be able to see the list of total users, active users, sign up, and all other details. And now, even though we have included authentication, if a person is signed out, okay, even if they are not logged in, they're still able to access this page. Actually, it should be only accessible to authenticated users. Now, in this context, just go to the Next.js documentation and I'll scroll down and I'll click on this option, Clerk Middleware Reference. And if I scroll down, I can see a section explaining how to protect routes. So I want to modify the application such that only authenticated users are able to access this page. So all I got to do is to scroll down and copy this updated middleware file. So I'll go ahead and copy this one and open VS Code and replace the current middleware.ts file with this one. And if you look here, we have a new constant called isProtectorRoute is equal to create route matcher. And in this array, you can mention all the routes that you want to protect. So in this context, let's say I want to protect the entire application and only if a user is signed in, they'll be allowed to access the application. So I can just remove this one from here, /. And if I save it right now and head back to my localhost, and if I refresh the page, I'll be instantly redirected to a login page. Now, only if I log in, I'll be able to access the page. Okay. Now, if I try to visit localhost 3000 directly, as you can see, we are still redirected to this Clerk authentication page. And now if I click on continue with Google, select a random email address, continue. And now that I'm authenticated, I am able to access my page, okay, the main page, search rank tracker. And this is how you make sure only authenticated users are able to access the core functionality of the app. So yeah, that's how simple it is to implement authentication using Clerk on your Next.js application. And if you want to modify the app such that only authenticated or logged in users are allowed to access your whatever application that you're developing, you can simply copy the existing middleware file, paste it in an AI tool and ask it to configure it that way, like only authenticated users are able to access the page, and AI will give you the updated code in no time. Copy paste and replace the content and you should be good to go. And I'm not explaining everything as such in this video right here. This video will be like extremely long if I was about to include all that stuff. I now believe you get that basic gist of it. You can take it up from here, give customized prompt and convert it. And one important thing that you have to take care is the proxy part. So as we are making repeated attempt to check the ranking of a keyword on Google, there are high probability that Google will straight away ban our IP address. To avoid that from happening, make sure you use a quality proxy like the one from Toolip.io. So yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to show you in this video. I hope you guys found this video useful. If yes, make sure to subscribe to this channel and I'll see you in the next one.